Hello everyone, this is Aaron again. Today we're going to visit a problem with my Gamo Urban here. I haven't shot it in quite a while. I'm going to do a little bit more range shooting with it. Maybe even take it to the to some of the permissions and get some shots in there too. We'll see. But right now, this gun has a problem that every gun is going to get, and it's probably going to be the first problem you get in your gun. And that is going to be a leak in the field port seal. In the field port, you're putting in the field probe and you're shooting air through this thing and into the cylinder. And there's a little rubber washer O-ring in there that has to be pushed out so that the air can get past, and then it closes down to seal the air and pushed out. The wear of all that pressure air going past that O-ring and into the thing, and even under high pressure, if you do it really fast, it can actually heat that thing up and get it to warp also. But over time, that little ring is gonna go. And I've had it happen on 4 of my guns and replace them all. So now it's time to replace this baby here. So we're gonna go through the process of how you take this Gamo Urban, and it's a very, very simple process. It won't take but a minute, but I want to show you guys in case you have one of these and run into this problem. And I also want to tell you where you can get some O-rings at too. And I'll pop something up here. I don't like to do links in the description because I always forget. So with that, we'll come in a little closer and see how we break this thing down. Very simple. Let's go. Okay, we're back, and the process for this is real simple. You don't have to even take the gun apart at all. What you do is you take off this protective cap that you use to protect the field port. And then all we want to take this. Now, one thing you want to make sure this gun is totally degassed. Otherwise, this thing can shoot out on you. I've checked here, and this thing here is totally degassed. A good way of checking it is to go ahead and I'll do this. Go ahead and cock it. Okay, and make sure that you take the magazine out. You cock it, close it down, and then pull the trigger. If there's any pressure, you're going to hear it. And as you can hear, there was no pressure. I'll do it again. There's no pressure in this gun. All you hear is the spring. So now with that, we can now take this off. And normally you can put a screwdriver into the field port hole to loosen it, like that. But once you get it loose, you should be able to turn it by hand. And by now, if there was some pressure in there, you would start to maybe hear a little hissing here. Now it's going to take a lot of turns to get this thing off there. It's really threaded on here a lot. But when you get to the end of the threads, you can then start to put some pressure on it to get it the rest of the way out. Because now you're down to the point where it's just the O-ring, so you just got to pull now. When you pull, it will come out just like that. Okay. Let me set this aside and we'll take a look at how to change the O-ring in this thing. Okay, we're back and we have field port assembly taken out. The first thing we're going to need to do is to take, and there's a little pin that goes in here. We're going to take this pin out. And it's under pressure, so there's a little spring down in there. But you're going to push this through. Take that pin out. Then there's a spring in there, so you want to keep your finger down here so this thing won't shoot out. Okay, and then you're going to take out the washer. You're going to take out the that here. Okay, we're back, and before I even mess around with trying to do with that O-ring, you want to clean down in here, because sometimes you can get a little debris in there. If you get any debris down in here, and it gets between that O-ring, it's going to leak. I don't care, you can put in new O-rings forever. And sometimes you do, if you don't really watch it, it's easy to get a little dirt in here if you don't keep your fuel probe covered. So all we want to do is just go down here and make sure with a Q-tip, we're just going to go down here and make sure that this thing is clean good. With that, we got that done. So now, all we need to do is to replace this O-ring right here. And that's what we'll do next. Be right back. Now, I've already put the new O-ring on. Let me show the old one. This is the old one here. I'll try to get it a little bit closer to the camera so you guys can see just how messed up it was. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to get this thing close to the camera so you can see just how, I think that's about the focus I'm gonna get it. You can see it's kind of wobbled, and it's no longer round, and it has some abrasions on it. That was the culprit. I took that out. And the way you do that is this. Let me just show you real quick. Make sure, okay, I use a pin when I do this. Make sure that when you stick it in, you stick it into the old O-ring. Do not, this is usually harder than this brass, and it will make a scratch. If you make a scratch in there, it could create a channel for a leak. So make sure that you stick it into that and lift it until you get it off. Never stick it all the way down to where you can scratch down in there. It could cause you a problem later. Okay, so we got the O-ring on. We're going to go ahead and put this thing back together now. And the way you do that basically is take this piston. I always like to put a little lube on these things, so let me get some and this is what I use, okay? It's basically pure silicone, and you can buy this at any dive store and probably at any paintball store. But I like to just take a tiny bit and just lubricate this thing just a little. Just to lubricate this thing just a little, just to make sure that it's it can flow a little easy. That's it. Now we'll go ahead and put this back together. We'll go in reverse order. We've already cleaned down in there, so we know that's pretty good. And even though we cleaned down, I'm going to go down there one more time, just to make sure that there's no debris in there. Blow it out. Okay, now we're ready to put it back together. So here we go. We're going to drop this into place. I'm going to drop this in with that little pin down. Then this will fit right over that perfectly like that. Okay. And then we got a washer. Just going to go on it. And then now we need to compress this down to the point where we can get that washer down in there. There we go. Whoops, slipped on me. This spring is, make sure when you take this thing apart that you don't let this spring get away, because that thing can fly across the room. You could lose it very easily. Okay, so got that. Take this, push that down in there. And once you do, you can compress it down into that hole, and now you can come around here and find this hole, and this pin's got to go in that hole. And let me just get the pin in the hole, then I'll show you something else. It wants to pop out of there so badly. And it's under quite a bit of pressure, so you don't want to lose this spring. Okay, I got it in. Once you get it in pretty safely on the first part, then you just keep pushing on it until it goes across. And sometimes this little sucker is going to try to come out, because like I said, there's a lot of pressure in it. Just find something to push it down and get it past like that. And now you want to do is get it into that secondary hole over there. There we go. All right. Now it's back together. And you're ready to go. Okay, we're back, and we have all the O-rings in place on this fuel assembly. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little of this Trident 100% silicone. I usually just put a tiny bit on my finger. I just like to put a little lubrication on these. I think it just helps it to slide easier and not catch, and you don't want this thing to pinch or anything like that when you put it in, because you got to get it past these threads. Now all I want to do is just get it in there. And once I get in there, I want to start turning it. Just like before. And this thing has a lot of threads on it because it's got a lot of pressure to hold. So you got to turn this for a while. So I'm going to turn it in now and come right back. Well, we're back, and now all we have to do is put on this protective ring for the feel. Pop that into place and twist it so it's protected from dust, and that's it. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and I hope that was helpful to you, because I said on all the guns you're going to always have a leak at the fill port if nowhere else, because it's just used constantly putting air in, and eventually that O-ring is going to give out. But this gun is all done now. I'm going to start shooting it again. One thing I have to say is this. I bought this several years ago. This is a regulator for this gun. And you have to take it apart and pull the cylinder out and all these sort of things in order to get this thing to work in there. And I'm not gonna be working with this gun that much that I need to regulate it. I'm just gonna go ahead and shoot it the way I've always shot it, and just pay attention to the pressure in it and go from there. I just don't feel like pulling it apart and doing all that on it now. So I got this on eBay. I'm gonna try to sell it back on eBay at a discount, and hopefully somebody will purchase it. So with that, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Hope this will be helpful to some of you Gamo owners out there, and we'll have another video for you very soon. Keep it safe.